Hi, this is Mr. Moley, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about your brushes that you're going to need to get for supplies this year. Um, the reason you kind of need to get paintbrushes and we can't supply them is we have brushes in the classroom that we supply for maybe 30 students at a time. And since we can't share those paintbrushes, that's going to mean you'll have to get your own brushes because we just wouldn't have enough paintbrushes to give out. So anyway, as far as I don't know if you've ever bought paintbrushes, and some of you may already have paintbrushes, um, but I do have certain specific paintbrushes that you need to get. So if you've never bought paintbrushes, you might be stumped on what it is you're supposed to get in terms of paintbrushes. So seeing that you need to get a specific paintbrush, I want to be very specific in explaining it. Okay, all right. So let's get into it. What I have here is a set of paintbrushes that I purchased. That would be like an example of a set that you might would get from perhaps from Walmart, which is where I got these. These are actually the right ones that you would get, and they are called synthetic or talcum. Okay. Sometimes you'll see on the package, you'll say acrylic or all media, that kind of thing, which I got some pictures I'll show you a little later. That I actually took at Walmart for, can give you a sense of price as well. So these brushes, let me talk to you a little bit about synthetic brushes. Synthetic brushes they're kind of stiff, right? But they're also fairly soft and smooth, okay? So I'll already cross it like that, right? And all it is really fine strands of plastic. I guess they create these long strands, just cut them up, and then make a brush out of them, and they work great. You know, a lot of brushes you get to paint houses with nowadays are much the same thing. Now, the difference of what you would not want to get is something, now this is a big brush, and I'll show you a good example of it, is something like this. This is, I don't know what kind of hair this might be. It might be a hog hair. A lot of times you can either see it as a natural brush, what they'll call it, and you just won't want to get that because it's very just rough and coarse. And for some other things it might work better, such as oil paint. When you paint oil paint, you use something like a natural brush, like a hog bristle. But the thing about acrylic really is especially, I always talk about acrylic, that it's like Elmer's glue, and it wants to stick to stuff, right? And when it dries, it is like Elmer's glue. And it just would stick to this much more so than as if on these paintbrushes. So there's just multiple reasons why you want the synthetic, and the synthetic's what you want for what we do. What else was the types of paint we're going to use. Okay, the types of paint. This is a water-based paint class, so we're going to be using tempera paint, watercolor, and acrylic, and that's the paintbrush you're going to use for all of those. Okay. All right. Other things you're going to need, although this is not something I expect you to buy, this is what you're going to need to come by the school and get, okay? Eventually, you're going to need to come by and get some paint, okay? Now, this is a small cup container. I'm going to give you two of these at first, and we're going to start off in tempera paint. You're going to get a cup of white, and you're going to get a cup of black. And then the other thing I'm going to give you is 2 styrofoam plates in a Ziploc gallon bag like this. And this is where you'll store your paint and mix your paint. You'll just pour out a little bit of the cup as you need it. You won't pour it all out. And we'll get into that later. So this keeps your paint moist and sealed, and also something to kind of mix your paint off. Okay, and we'll be using this for the tempera paint and acrylic paint. And later we'll get into the watercolor. One other thing that you don't have to get that you might want to get is something like this. I bought this at Walmart, and it's not very big. It's almost like a, what you might would think of as a sketchbook, but the paper in it. Okay, see how it says mixed media? It can withstand paint. The paper is thick. It's most other like sketchbooks have thin drawing paper, which might be okay for pen and pencil or color pencil. But if you use anything wet, it'll buckle real bad, or maybe if you got really wet, it might even wear through. So it just can't withstand the moisture. So a paper like that would. Now, I plan on giving you all the paper you need, even for the things that we do as exercises or practice, and for the final paintings. Okay. That paper I don't expect you to get when you do your final paintings. The first one's actually going to be kind of large, like 12 by 16 inches. So I'll be giving you that as well. So that little book there that I show you, that's up to you. If you want to start painting some and you want paper to paint on, that's something I would suggest. I was very impressed with that. And I did paint it a little bit and did like how it turned out in terms of the paper, how it withstood the moisture of the paint. So I'm going to stop this video now, and then I'm going to turn it around. So then I'm going to start showing you some pictures that I took at Walmart that you might look for when you buy your paintbrushes. Okay, so what I have here is my computer with the pictures I took at Walmart to kind of show you some of the differences and some of the packs of what you might would find when you go there, to kind of what you're going to be looking for. Now, when I was there at Walmart, I went back into like the painting section. They have sort of a crafts painting section, and then they have another section of paints and crafts that are kind of more, I don't know, I want to say more, not more of the art side, but more of the craft side. I don't know how to really explain it, but just not as good a quality. But they might have these brushes. So this is something particular in terms of these packs that you might want to look for and be successful in terms of getting the type of brushes I want for you to get, okay? So here's one of them. Let's just get into talking about it. As you can see here, this says all media and it says golden talcum. So that's exactly what you would probably want to get. As you can see here, the price is, less than $5, and that's pretty good. One thing I do want to say about the variety of brushes that are in here, they do have some really nice kind of small rounds, but they got this big flat right there. We'll probably never get around using that big flat like that, but I could think of a couple instances where it would be very helpful to have a big flat like that, a brush that size. So this set would work just fine. The other set, which is this one, which is the one that I was showing you, which are these right here. As you can see, it was a little more, almost $5. You can see here it doesn't say just mixed media, it says acrylic. Also it says golden talcum. It doesn't have that big flat in there, but that works. I don't know if I explained that in an earlier video. These are rounds and these are flats, okay? So that has a good variety of rounds and flats. Some very fine little pointy kind of rounds, which would be great for detail. So that would be a good set to use. Now, I don't have an example of it. Sometimes they have a fan brush in some of these packs. And it essentially is just like what it sounds like. It's like it kind of spread out. I don't ever use one of those. So if you want get a pack that has it, it's okay, but it's not necessary. All right. So let me show you examples of what not to get. Sorry. And this would be that. So even though this is watercolor, look what it says at the bottom, camel hair. Camel hair is natural, okay? Sometimes they've even made paintbrushes out of squirrel hair, which is really fine. And you've probably used watercolor brushes before, perhaps like this, and they're very fine and flimsy, and they just kind of flop around like, kind of like a mop. That's too flimsy for what we want to do. Remember, with these, they're kind of a little stiff to it, and so that really helps push the paint around versus something like that would be much more flimsy. And plus, like I said, when we get into acrylics, it's going to stick to it. So that's camel hair. That's a natural. We don't want that. And here's another example, like what I was showing, of the this one here says natural bristle, which that one kind of also looks kind of like a hog hair, kind of like I was showing you like with this one. So that's an example of what you'd also want to avoid. And here's that mixed media book I was telling you that show you the price right there, and it was $7. That's optional again. You don't have to get something like that. Just if you wanted to start painting and painting something, that would be one I would recommend. And I did find one over in the other section that was also a mixed media. Has a little more paper in it. The other one only has 60 sheets. This has 20 sheets more, and it's about half the price. So anyway, so I'm going to end this video. So to recap and end this video, just make sure that you get synthetic or talcum paintbrushes. You can order them probably from Amazon or from Walmart. We're only looking to spend maybe about $5. If you want to get a bigger set, go for it. If you want to, if you like some of the other brushes in there. And I didn't mention this, but you may already have some of these paintbrushes, and you can certainly use those. You don't have to get the packs that I shown, so long as they are, as you know, that they are synthetic or talcum. And how I explained it, you should be able to know whether or not that is what you have or not. If you have any questions, by all means, you can message me and we can discuss this in terms of what you feel like, if you got the right thing or not, or where you can go to get it or anything like that. I could even provide links to where you could purchase them online if you wanted to. So anyway, the media sketchbook, that was totally optional. You don't have to get that. Just if you want to start doing some painting on your own, besides the paper I'm going to give you, you want your own paper. That was just something I wanted to share with you. Now at some point within the next week or so, I'm going to be trying to get information from you on, information to you on how to come by to pick up your paint and your paper and your plates in the bag, okay? So be on the lookout for that, and good luck, and talk to you soon.